Dudley Thompson, and welcome again to the new Make We Talk Sports here on Roots FM 96.1. You know, we are the authentic voice of Jamaica's inner city. For the beginning of 2023, our main focus has been on table tennis, and the narrative was that TT was dead in Jamaica. It was alive up until 2021. It took a nosedive during the pandemic. It went dead in 2022 and is now revived in 2023. Lots of happening in table tennis in Jamaica. Earlier heard here from Spoon Grant, and he spoke about Casata and the direction he wanted to take Casata. You also heard from Darrington Ferguson, who spoke about the Lothian administration and what they what they wanted to achieve before they left office. And now we continue with table tennis. We're now hearing joined by Mr. Roger Mackenzie, and he's the founder of the Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association. And he said for some reason, the TT's governing body, that's the Jamaica TT Association, refused to sanction the Players Association. We'll find out why. Why the governing body refused to recognize Table Tennis Players Association, and more issues will be divulged today from Mr. Mackenzie. Let's say good morning to Roger Mackenzie. Welcome to Make We Talk Sports.
Yes, morning. Thank you for having me on your program.
All right, tell us before we go into the main issue now, about tell us how did you get involved in TT in the initial stage before we go into the main issue?
All right. Just before I get into that, I just want to clarify one point. The Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association does not require the governing body to recognize it or to sanction it.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you probably heard was as it relates to the tournaments that the Players Association, which has yet to be registered officially as an association, by the way.
Yeah, we know that part, yes.
So it is a tournament that the Players Association looked to put on, that we put on 2 last year. And emails were sent to them to say, hey, sanction a tournament so that the youngsters, whenever they win against a senior player, or if a senior player defeats another senior player, then there is national points exchange. So that's primarily one of the main issues. So to answer now your question as to how I got involved in the sport, it's kind of funny because my benchmate, schoolmate in first form, was Michael Hyatt's younger brother, Robert Hyatt.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
So, as school students at first form, we have our board rackets and we play in the corridor. And, I'm a footballer. Yes. I'm on the Pepsi squad. So TT is just a little second sport.
Mm-hmm.
And then you realize that this young man here is a national player coming from a serious program. Sponge rackets and all of these fancy stuff. And just get involved, and that's basically it after that.
And that's how you really get you start to progress into the sports gradually.
Yes, because the Melbourne Cricket Club is within my community, and not having anywhere to play football, I took my football there, and they said, hey, you cannot play on the grass, it's a cricket field. So I saw some youngsters playing table tennis. I said, cool, I have it at my school. Yeah, the Keith Evans there, a couple other people that were there, including Sandra Ritty. The late Tony Becker daughter was there. There were senior players, Osborne Lawrence,
yes,
Lawrence Reed, a couple other juniors that people know about that in the sport.
All right, and you went down now to join like TT clubs and so before. Or which club are you part of now?
Well, I joined Melbourne. Basically, I can't remember, 13, and then I played Division 3 for them in third form, which I won with my teammates, and then in fourth form, Division 2 finals, and after that, just basically played,
Yes.
Played for my high school whenever I had the opportunity, given the chance. I played 1 or 2 games.
Do you have a coach? Are you coached as well?
No, I never had a coach, but I had senior players who would every now and then give me a little instruction here or there, but I never had a coach.
Oh, but after your playing days, now, did you venture into coaching?
Actually, I started coaching while I was at high school. So, especially when I repeated fifth form before I migrated, I had about 50 juniors, then it went down to 25. We had 1 table.
Wow, one table.
Yeah. So
the challenging.
You're right. I mean, we even use a broomstick and 2 orange juice box as a net
net.
post and a net. At
Wow.
times when the net is not available. And out of that program, a couple of juniors came out of it that were pretty decent. There was one junior that came from downtown Kingston. He was already an accomplished player, Warren Bailey. And then Courtney Roberts came out of that. He went on to LA as a youngster, got coaching, went to college, got scholarships, became the highest ranked Jamaican player ever in the US, had over 2,600 rated points. So I usually select my juniors. I don't charge the coach. That's one thing I learned from high school.
Wow.
Yeah. So I would select 1 or 2 people that I have interest in. So, okay, fine, I'll help you, but I'd have to select them and make sure that I put in the work no more than 3 to 6 months to make a complete player.
All right, and then now you decided that we need to form a players association. So all this idea came about to form Jamaica TT Players Association.
Well, when I came back home after finishing my studies in the States, I discovered that a lot has changed in the sport since Mr. Haslam left.
Yes.
And there's a lot of, bickering and infighting. And so I said to them while I was at a club practicing, which is the JDF, I said, what you guys need to do is do 2 things. This is, I think it's 2007, around 2007, I said, you need to form national association registered as a company and then register a players association. They only listened to one advice and they formed, shortly after that, CASATA was formed, Kingston and St. John's Tennis Association. Because before that you had parish associations, but they were tied to like a subgroup within the JTT, not as a registered entity like at the office of registrars companies.
Yes.
So they did that before. But I came to understand that in the 90s, I think it was a vice president under, forget his name, famous guy from KC, Dennis Duncan, I think is his name, or something like that. Right, Dennis Duncan. That his vice president said that he formed a players association before, but I don't know how it didn't continue or if it was just on paper. I really cannot tell you.
All right, yeah.
But 90s to 2007 is a long stretch.
Yeah, a long stretch. Yeah.
When I realized that a lot was going on, I keep on hearing a lot of issues between players and coaches and administrators and all manner of things. My focus is just playing the game and having fun. I really don't care about politics or anything like that, right? So I said, we need to form this group. Sure, I went through a couple of things myself, but it's because of a lack of a body like this. So Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association is basically supposed to represent players, managers, coaches, as it relates to the sport.
Yes.
So to remain independent of the parent body is important. So my view is that if you're a part of the Players Association, you cannot run for office within the governing body. You cannot vote. So if you're going to hold any managerial position or executive position within the Players Association, you should have no business dealing with voting for the governing organization or having any say in that, because the focus of the Players Association is strictly players, nothing else, and the rights of players, nothing else.
All right, and what sort of rights for players been infringed on before you start this association? Yes, yeah, you saw in the past.
Well, I heard so many stories that definitely just remind me of something. I'd like to introduce Altaman Henry. I'm going to give you his number so they can call him overseas if possible on WhatsApp. I heard so many stories, like players would qualify to make a national team and then they were dropped in preference of a junior or a senior for no reason. So then why invite the player in the first place if you're going to drop the player, you know what I mean? So I'm like, and it happened like twice to them, so, or you have powers being given to unqualified coaches and former players that are on, so-called selection committee, and, they decide, okay, fine, we're going to have 2 top spots, and then we're going to decide who makes it, even though you qualify for maybe the last 2. I heard that people even thinking of deciding who the last 2 spot is based on a committee. Maybe in China, when you have thousands of good players and it's that difficult, you may need a selection committee. But in Jamaica, if you add up the top 22 players, which 3/4 of them right now over the age of 40, 99% of the juniors cannot beat 95% of these players.
Wow.
And that is an indictment not on the older players, but on the coaching staff to make the transition for the junior players to make the transition to the senior level.
Yes. Earlier, there's a talk about our coaching level is kind of below par with the rest of the region. Not say Asia, but the region. and that is something that need to be strengthened going forward to improve the sports locally. Is there any truth to that notion?
Well, it's kind of complicated because over the years, since I've been back, we've always pretty much done well at the junior level. And the reason why that is, if you think about it, all juniors started off at scratch.
Yeah.
Especially in the region. It's not like China where, by the time they're 3 years old, they're playing twice a day for 5 years. So a 10-year-old in China is not the same as a 10-year-old in Jamaica.
Yes.
So I don't really look at the whole heap of medals and all of that they're doing. It's great and it's nice for the families and the kids and stuff like that. But then when you look at the level of play, yes, we know that it's not exactly where it should be. But we do have good coaches at the junior level. I give them that much credit.
Yes.
Lots of good coaches. I cannot take that away from them. But I think that the transition from junior to senior, there is a lot missing. And under the late president, he actually brought in a lot of these people who were, had creating issues and said, hey, get rid of this president, He brought in a program that got a lot of them certified.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that was their thanks to him. No, I wasn't necessarily very close with him. I mean, I had to, for the record, people thought that I was in his camp working for him and all kind of stuff. I had to spend $25,000 at a law firm just to, make sure that I was able to enter a tournament, when each time I decided not to anyway because it was too late.
Wow.
Yeah. And, a lawyer kind of ate up that money, which was really a waste of time. But that's another story.
Enter a tournament in Jamaica?
Yeah, it was the Nationals.
It got to the league. No, this is serious.
Yeah, I mean, it's what it is. But when they basically threw him under the bus, I reached out to him, and he kind of reached out to me and we spoke, and he said, X, Y, Z. I said, all right, look, you have a national coach right now from Japan, which is Coach Taki. In the past...
it's Takashima.
Right, Takashima. In the past, they had trials that was just by invite only. I said, look, what you should consider, or I think I said what you need to do is basically keep a trials where you kind of open it up, because you don't know who in the country is training. So he said, how do you do that? I said, just ask Coach Taki. And then Coach Taki had basically 3 trials. He had a first set, I think that was cut down to our second set, and then the second set had to fight for like four positions to join like the 8, and then form the 12. And from there, the likes. I mean, German James is a good player. He's always been in the program as far as I know. But from that trials, he was able to qualify and play his Caribbean Championship in the singles.
Wow.
Yeah.
In your case now, what did your group on the trials now? How would your group assist to get players to trials, apart from those who were invited by the association? Because they also invited few only for trials. And I mean, the talent pool can be wider than those who we might see now in the forefront. But players are training quietly in their community, but they don't know the level what they are now. So the trials might expose them to higher you can see the players are really talented.
Right. Well, I said it openly. I sent my text to the association by email. I don't hide and speak. I speak my mind. I'm not afraid of anything or anyone. So it was a sham trials, as far as I see it. In fact, it was a rig trials, just like the one before that.
Because, sham and a rig trials?
Yeah, as far as I see it, in my humble opinion, that's the way I see it. Because the first trials they had, they invited some good youngsters, but they weren't really any threat to, say, the top 6 at the time.
Yes.
Right? So it's like, okay, fine. So why limit it to 11? You didn't even run it off to 12. You know what I mean? Truth be told, it like clockwork. Nothing really happened. The seniors went through. Same thing again. No, it was shrink from 11 to 10. Apart from one player who I thought would have been in a reckoning because his skill is very up there, but he's unfit.
Yes.
I thought the 4th spot would have been a battle between Paulton, Madden, and Rowan Lewis. And it turned out that neither of those two were able to survive, even though it was just 1 point that separated the 4th spot. But if it was, say, open up to, say, 20 players with a round robin in 2 days, and you have the same set of juniors plus more juniors and a little more seniors, any player who is old and their legs are aging, by day 2, they haven't have to run through other senior players and other youngsters, and then the last 4 talented youngsters catch them. It's going to take a toll. And if they hold like 3 trials per year in that format where it's round robin, eventually the transfer of skills would take place, which is why I started a pro tour on the Lothian many years ago. I can't remember exactly what it was before 2015, but a lot of senior players were boycotting it. And then I restarted it under a different name, which is the Invitational Series, where it's a round robin format where you have like top seniors and top juniors from different categories competing to get that system going. So that's how I do it. I'd have a round robin that is a lot larger pool where you'd have more talent and more competition, not just on a technical level or a tactical level, but a physical level. Yeah.
Wow. It's Mecca Talk Sports here, Rose FM 96.1. We're talking to Mr. Roger McKenzie, and he's the founder of the Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association. We're talking table tennis and players' rights, but it's shocking that Jamaica has had trials earlier, but players were just for only a selected few. And you also you put on tournaments recently, but they were not sanctioned by the governing body. Why do you think this is so?
Well, there are 2 reasons. And having sent them an email and indicated what the primary reason, what I thought was used to be the primary reason, what they should have done is to reply to the email. Right. But I guess they have this policy where they choose to not to reply. Or if they do reply, it's 1 out of whatever, how many emails. Previously, I think it was when I came back home in the early 2000s, between 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, you had a couple clubs that approached sponsors for their club and their players, and they made a living out of it, right? So when the association or governing body went to say just pick a company X, and they say, hi, could you help us? We need 50,000 or we'd like 50,000 or whatever it is. They said, but we can't help you. We just sponsored so and so from so and so club. So you had a situation where too many entities are going for the same limited pool.
The same persons.
Right.
Oh.
So I think I can want to call a name, but I think it was in 2007-9, around that time frame. They didn't want to issue any letters of, say, sanctioning, because then you use that letter to go to the sponsor and say, see, we have sanctioned, so then therefore they're different than the other person who just shows up and says sponsor. So I found a solution to that initially. And I told them, I said, look, what you can do is sanction the tournament so the points are exchanged, but put in the letter that this is not for solicitation of funds.
Right.
Right? Because really and truly, if you have a good relationship with a corporate company or you can approach them in the right manner, you don't really need to be sanctioned. You don't need a letter to say, okay, fine, you need to be sanctioned for solicitation. They should say, look, I like what you're doing. I like your vision. Show me how you're going to execute it. What are my benefits? What is the amount? And if it's reasonable, there is enough business companies out there that I think would come on board.
Right. So you went that far to show that it's not about money, it's about just the points.
Yeah, because the first tournament I kept, I didn't have any corporate sponsor. And I said, all right, what's the problem going on with this sport? And I'm not talking the Pro Tour now. Then I had a corporate sponsor, and it was sanctioned, approved by Mr. Lothian. So this time around, I heard players complaining about not having enough tournaments, younger players not getting enough chance, exposure to get points. So I said, all right, fine. Then they want prize money. So I said, fine. So I charged them $4,000 for an entry fee. We had a full house, top 12. And what we did was to take 3/4 of that to the prize.
Right.
And then the rest, go to like the venue or whatever it is.
Yeah, man, cover the cost.
Right. And so with that, it was good. There was a gentleman from Nigeria, you probably heard of him, Adeyini.
No.
Yeah, he won that tournament. I came second, technically by default, because Ricky Lee kind of pulled out because of an injury, right? So it came on the news. It was successful. this Nigerian, he's in Jamaica now, looking to be naturalized, very talented dude. So after that, now I heard players saying, "Oh, the entry fee too high and the prize money too low." But the entry fee was high because you get the prize money. That's what you do in order to, if you lack a sponsor, right?
Yes.
And even if you do get a sponsor, they let the prize money in that they was offering is equivalent to what's in the US for a tournament of that size, according to the rated players. But you do have some players that believe that because they're in Jamaica, they're professionals, they need to get $50,000 and $100,000 per prize money and all of that. I'm sorry, the same players go to the US to play in an event which is higher rated than what I am putting on. It's getting less money than that, all right? Or the same what I am offering, or what the JTTPA was offering. So the second stage, I reached out to a company because we were in talks and some business, and I said, hey, I have a tournament going on. It would be nice if you come on board and stuff like that. The brand is good. The sport hasn't had a brand in a while. And that's how Lasco Financial Services came on board.
Oh, and it was a well-run tournament.
Yes, and what we did, we told them, I said, hey, you know what, just keep the check till next year, and we can use those funds to run the rest of the tournaments for the year. And it wasn't a lot either, but it was significant for the event. So when I say a lot, I'm not trying to water it down, but a lot of people out there believe that, oh, Lasco, wow, last time I had a sponsor who's a business kind of partner, when I say partner, I do business with them. They're like, oh, you got $1 million. And you have these guys going around talking all manner of stuff. And all they have to do is come out and ask, or go to the sponsor and ask, what did you provide? It's just that simple, instead of going around and running your lip, right?
And creating mischief.
Right, and creating mischief. So we told them to hold on to the prize money, so we can then use that as leverage for other tournaments whenever the need arise. So that was basically how the whole tournaments came about, to kind of address the lack of tournaments, the point in ranking system issue, the trials issue and all those things. Because then by keeping the tournaments, you would see who is active and who is not. So the second stage with Lasco was, I think, in November. I came third. Rudolph Sinclair came second, and African Adeyini won. Yes, he won that tournament. He did. And then after that, now another tournament was held by the national coach in December, similar to my own, but lots of money. They invited pretty much the same players that were invited to the senior trials.
Yes.
But except Rudolph Sinclair was not invited.
Wow.
And among other senior players. So.
All right, it's Mecco Talk Sports here, Roots FM 96.1. Our special guest is Mr. Roger McKenzie, and he's the founder of the Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association. And we take a quick commercial before we come back. We look at more of this organization and the way forward for the association. Quick break here, Roots FM 96.1, Mecco Talk Sports.
Backyard Magazine presents the Music Feel Reggae Show on Roots FM with Music Feel, DJ Sogi and SK. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. till 6:30 p.m. This is the complete show where you get music updates, artist interviews and reviews. The Music Field Radio Show is brought to you by the legendary Backyard Magazine. Know your roots.
You're listening to Roots 96.1 FM, owned and operated by the Mustard Seed Communities, giving voice to the voiceless.
Poetry jam. You have raspberry jam, you have guava jam, you have pineapple jam, but nothing no sweet like poetry jam and Roots 96.1. Every Monday evening from 6 till 8, Isa Char will tell you that straight. Poetry jam. Poetry jam. Roots 96.1.
Hi, I'm Sharon.
Hi, I'm Marcia.
I'm Adrian.
Join us this and every Wednesday morning for Extraordinary Abilities on Roots 96.1 FM. Join us for news, views, and interviews with extraordinary people. Extraordinary Abilities every Wednesday morning, 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your extraordinary radio station, Roots 96.1 FM. It's gonna be fun, informative, and educational, but most of all, it will be extraordinary. Extraordinary.
Denise, Isis Miller with Rootsology, which is the in-week thriller from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Miss Harry said it never go to all weekend. We have food for thought, your health is a wealth, then love bus, that is a must. And not idiot thing that. Then we close it off at the end of the week with Fire Friday, which are the talk of the street. Rootsology, me say ya Rootsology. Rootsology, me say ya Rootsology. Isis Miller.
Backyard Magazine presents the Music Field Reggae Show on Roots FM with Music Field, DJ Sogi and SK. Every Wednesday, 5 p.m. till 6:30 p.m. This is the complete show where you get music updates, artist interviews and reviews. The Music Field Reggae Show is brought to you by the legendary Backyard Magazine. Know your roots.
Poetry jam. You have raspberry jam, you have guava jam, you have pineapple jam, but nothing no sweet like poetry jam and Roots 96.1. Every Monday evening from 6 till 8, Isa Char will tell you that straight. Poetry jam. Poetry jam. Roots 96.1.
You're listening to Roots 96.1 FM, owned and operated by the Mustard Seed Communities, giving voice to the voiceless.
All right, welcome back here to Make We Talk Sports here on Root FM 96.1. We have in studio a special guest, Mr. Roger McKenzie. We also have online Alteman Henry, and he's a player and also, and he could sometimes also admin a party group. Welcome to Make We Talk Sports here, Mr. Alteman Henry. Welcome to the program.
Morning, sir. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man, and we have in studio here Mr. Roger McKenzie, as you well know.
Yeah.
All right. Now I guess he's also a part of your players association as well.
Yes.
Yes, Altamont is a part of the association, one of the founding group, and in the
He's a
WhatsApp group.
founding member of that group.
Right, founding member.
And I guess you didn't. He didn't took part in the recent trials.
No,
No.
And it is so sad, though, right? All right. Well, now tell us now, your organization. What can you say going forward now to represent to put a more represent players in a manner where we can't repeat of these little quick upcoming trials. So can you play or your group can plan to rectify that situation? Altamont.
Okay. Well, in my opinion, I think you need to have regular tournaments, right? Which are properly points are given to the players, so that you can have a ranking system that reflect the people who are current players and are really practicing in the sport. Then I believe selection to the trials now should now be based on those points in terms of those who have the highest points and also those who are practicing. Because there are sometimes as players we might take a break from the game and we are not really, match fit. So I mean, the players should be relied upon to indicate their readiness for competition. Which
Yes.
the whole national program should have a situation where all the active players are either being monitored or they are invited to regular training. In former years you used to have training like at the national arena. I know it's still going on for the younger players, like for the players organized. But if you have a regular squad in priority along with those who have points garnered from the various tournaments, if they are held on a regular basis and the points are allotted fairly.
Do you have any idea as to what criteria was used to select those who took part in this weekend's trials?
Sorry, repeat that question, please. I didn't hear clearly because of the connection.
I was asking if you have any idea of the criteria that was used to select players for last weekend's trials.
Well, I believe that the present administration, they have a selection committee. I am not aware of the criteria that they are using, but there is a selection committee in which I figure they suggest the players that they would like to use, and they would debate the pros and cons of including these players in the trials. The only problem I have with it is that it seems to be a lot of subjectivity rather than the objectivity of player performance and skill. But for myself, I was somewhat surprised that Rudolph Sinclair was not invited to the trial. In the President's Cup, which was held at GC Foster recently, and he was a finalist. Granted, there are some of the top players who didn't really perform or participate, but if a person is going as far as the finals, and it was clear that he was tired when he was beaten, and you're having 10 players, and some of the players that were invited are people that Rudolph Sinclair beat in that tournament.
Wow, strange.
Yeah, I don't want to call anyone's name, but it's there. Everybody knows. Because these people were in the trials, were in the tournament, and they didn't make the finals. So that means they must have been either beaten by Rudolph or the other guy. So, and I think even if you have a situation, if a man is at the bottom of the rating and closer to an event like the Caribbean Championship, he wins the tournament, he should be given at least a wild card entry into the trials.
Yeah, that's true.
Because its current form shows that he's competing at the level. And we have to understand that in sport, you can be good and out of form. You can be you know, basically on a given season, your game is at such a level that you can compete because it's a game of form, you know.
When I started the list earlier, I saw some players who were under 19 were also playing both under
Right.
19 and also senior in the senior rankings. I mean, the senior part of the tournament.
Mhm.
So I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, the age, you know, in and of itself is not a problem because remember we had people like Colin McNeish who was national champion.
It was about the
You
aging,
know,
but I was saying that what if the same player wins the under 19 and he wins the senior title? How would he represent the country at both?
Let me just quickly
because
interject.
where there's a age criteria, it really doesn't matter.
I hold. I think Mr.
How
Mackenzie
it
want
will
to.
affect how it will affect the player. How it will affect the player now if both tournaments are being run at the same time and you
Yeah,
have to be playing an extended number of games,
yeah, under
then
19
you
and
might be
senior in the
tiring.
same tournament.
Right. Because even at the local level, you know, when you have very good young players, sometimes they're playing 3, 4 events in one tournament. Sometimes they have a final call when they are actually playing one another final. So the multiple events is not the issue, you know, it's the skill level of the player. And if you're overlooking players of greater skill or equal skill and pushing them ahead.
Right. I just want to add something to that as it
Hmm.
relates to what I have heard regarding the trials. None of the under 19, let me see what it was now. People who were, you had under 15 players, one under 15 player and one under 19, who is 15 that were invited to seniors, and they're both good players. But I think that, let's assume that they made the senior team. They wouldn't, the one that is under 19, I don't think under the rules they were allowed to play both under 19 and seniors, but they could play the under 15 and the seniors if they had qualified for the seniors. So I only saying this because I don't want the confusion to make it look as if the organizing group have juniors in under 19 that would conflict if they made the seniors and they're not allowed to play both at the same time. But in a regular tournament, Altamont is saying you could have one junior 14 playing under 15, under 19, and senior finals at this, within one given day if they're that talented.
Right. Yeah.
But just to clarify, is I think you wouldn't have an under 19 player actually playing on the seniors at the same time in the Caribbean. I'm not sure. Don't hold me by that, but I just
Alright,
want
yeah.
to kind of put that in there.
But I actually saw when I saw the list of the
Yeah, man,
invitees, I
yeah.
saw quite a few under 19s inviting for the senior section as
Yeah,
well.
I think it's just two of them actually.
I mean, as I was saying, you know, the age limit is not necessarily the overwhelming criteria. Remember, we have a Joy Foster who is a renowned Caribbean.
Yeah, man, at
Yeah.
a young age, yes.
Very young. Yeah, but I mean, if she is able to beat people at the senior level while being young, that's not an issue. You know, really.
Right, that's true.
All right. This road right now is the AGM coming up sometime. It's due this month, but based on what we have seen so far, it could be postponed till about March or April. I know that your organization can't run for the top job.
Right.
Within your organization,
And,
but
and no interest in it.
no interest in it.
Regardless of the rumors being spread, I am not running for president. I've never sought to run for president when I came back to Jamaica.
So you put that to rest right now.
It has been a constant rumor, and people tend to be, I guess, intimidated that, this guy's running for president. I am not, and I have never tried to run for president of the Jamaica Table Tennis Association, and neither am I interested.
Well, you have the incumbent right now at the moment, and you have Mr. Lamont who threw his hat into the ring.
Right.
It's been rumored that Spoon, but
Right.
Spoon said no, decide as yet.
Right.
Yet we meet with Casata and they
Right.
make a decision. So
Right.
it's not officially a
Right.
candidate. So far, it's only incumbent and Mr. Lamont.
Right.
I don't want to ask you who you're going to support, but
Right. No, you see, for me, I can't speak for the JTTPA, 'cause, we're a group of 50, by now 56 members, right? But from my personal stance, it doesn't make a difference who's president, because at the end of the day, I view things differently. It's just
Yes,
like
yeah.
Jamaican politics. You have a prime minister, and the prime minister is a chief civil servant.
right.
Now, I kind of grew up differently, both local and live abroad in a different circumstances than most Jamaicans. So I'm used to a different mindset and a different culture.
Yes.
So the way I see it, the power belongs to we, the people.
Right, that's true.
No, we might not have a constitution like the US where it represents the people because of how it is structured now. So whoever is the president, there are laws within the organization that says, okay, you know, how does the USATT run their thing? Put them down, apply them, and that's just that simple. Now, back to the sanction of tournaments, I heard from credible sources that they said, oh, to sanction a tournament, they would have to supply tables and barriers. Obviously, they don't have that in order to risk whatever little they have.
I heard that as well. I was like,
right.
what?
I mean, that's news to me. I mean, that makes no sense, right? The rating system was being called on for 2 years. They sent out 2 different rating systems within 2 years. They were wrong. Players got 200 and odd points above players like myself that were at the same level, or I was higher than them. So in the absence of tournaments and COVID, how did a player actually garner 100 and something points to 200 and something points?
Oh, a good question.
Because, you know, ranking points can affect who is looked at and say, okay, where are you ranked?
Yes.
And even if you're ranked up there, if you're not playing, it doesn't make a difference. And so from time to time, you'd have a couple, they call them, they're good youth coaches, but other than that, they're not qualified. They'll show up to our venue to look at what's going on. But they don't know what happened an hour before. They don't know what's going to happen an hour later. You show up one time in the year to look at somebody, and that is your, like, you know, like the football scout. They just come and look at a match. But that's an official match. He's not just going to come and look at a scrimmage, because you could be just goofing off at a scrimmage.
Yes.
So where were these guys in the official tournaments that were being held? So I saw 2 people show up. I know they were in the past part of a selection committee. So I only can assume that they must have been on some scouting spying mission. So at the end of the day, the selection committee is nonsense. You need to have, you know, proper rating and ranking system. You need to have sanctioned tournaments, and you need to have trials that kind of encompass the best juniors and the best seniors in as much as a competitive fashion, round robin, where it takes a physical, technical, and tactical toll on each individual player. And the youth will rise to the top eventually, because unless you are a superior genetic makeup as a senior, you don't have, in my time, 35 and 40-year-old and 50-year-old and 60-year-old players dominating on 20-year-old young men and 18 and 16. That never happened in the late 80s or the 90s.
When it comes now to lack of development for the youngsters, as is mentioned earlier.
No, there's not a lack of development. It's just a lack of transfer of the skills to the seniors, because the mistake that one administration made, did it, or 2, they said, okay, not focus on the seniors. So they kept a lot of junior tournaments. But by keeping a lot of junior tournaments, they're playing among their own level.
So they don't play high above their level.
Right. So if, in absence of, say, having money to keep tournaments, then keep lots of trials. And then now the seniors who refuse to show up to the trials, or the seniors who refuse to show up to squad training, to have those youngsters get used to that level of spin, that level of pace, then they are removed from the program because they're blocking the youngsters from thriving.
Oh, I see what you mean. All right, backtrack a bit now to when you ask for your thing to be sanctioned, and then about lack of tables and equipment. When you put on tournaments, you have your own equipment, I assume.
Well, because the Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association is made up of various players and clubs, we basically utilize existing facilities
at the various clubs.
Right. So, for example, we started off at Pembroke Hall because they have 3 tables, good space, it's an active venue, and it makes sense. You bring people to the club, they know the facility, they know where to come and play. Then you shift to another location, you can keep it in, say, Portland. You know, I've made an offer to Lamont to say, look, we'll put up $10,000 towards the first prize if you keep the same kind of format than what we're doing, which is a round robin of seniors and juniors. Then I'd gladly come across to his parish and participate. So that's his whole objective, is where you have tournaments being held at least minimum 4 times per year from the Players Association, and we utilize and maximize the existing facilities and equipment
at the various clubs,
at the various venues.
So we would rely on JT for any form of equipment, tables, nothing at all, as rumor that is out there.
Well, the rumor that they require, that sanctioning requires them to provide tables, is not required. They don't rely on them for anything except that simple to grant the sanction of the tournament so that the points won and lost or recorded, and that players can benefit to show their national ranking. It affects your seeding.
That's all you're asking for.
That's the only thing we require. I don't need anything from them.
And then talk about tables and equipment and not enough to go around, and which don't make any sense.
Absolutely no sense.
Wow, come back now to sports politics. All right, I think Mr. And we're still there.
Yes, I'm here.
I guess you heard the whole issue about sanctions and table and like equipment can go around, and to me that Tuesday does sound like total nonsense.
Well, you see, the fact is, that in table tennis, for some reason, there are some people who don't get along very well with some people, and some people are technically blacklisted for various reasons. It's a sport of longevity. Most of the people who are in it now were here 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like, grudges don't die easily. And it is really calling upon us to really be mature in all areas. I'm not blaming any one side in particular, but we have to be mature and overlook the past slights and insults and maybe mistakes, because no administration is totally perfect. There are people in table tennis right now who are owed money by the association of past administration, and probably have no way of knowing if they will ever get these reimbursed these funds.
Wow.
So you find that in order for us to go on, somebody at some point have to wipe the slate clean and give everybody a fresh chance to build. Yeah. And so it is important that we try to find common ground. All of us, as far as I know, mean table tennis well and want to see the game improve, both in terms of building the skill level of the participants and having an impact nationally, so that we can command respect and get funding from the business community. So the negative things that keep surfacing and we keep airing our dirty laundry in public and so on is not really helping table tennis.
That's true.
So we need to really just man up and say, boy, let bygones be bygones. Personally, I have been slighted by the association at time, even in selection of teams in the past when I was a more active player. But I let those things slide and just move forward and hope that the younger generation coming up wouldn't have to face some of these obstacles.
When Mr. Spoon was here last week, he made it clear that he not here to run against the JTTA. He's here to work with them. He made that absolutely clear on the program. So he not want to go like a tag of war thing. He want to work alongside them. But when you try to contact Mr. Lou, no reply.
But this is what we really want to see. I mean, even the efforts that Mr. McKenzie is making in terms of promoting a more of a round-robin type tournament, it's different from what normally entails. There's no reason why it can't be added to the landscape of offerings for the sports, so that everything together will build skill, will build participation, will build, spectator appeal and all those things. We need everybody with their unique input to be embraced, so that we can move together as a table tennis family.
Yes, we're about less than 10 minutes to go inside the show. The way forward now for your organization now, with the tournaments that been sanctioned by the JTTA, the next plan of action.
Right, and I just want to add.
Well, we have to keep pressing for the sanction, because the sanction is part of what will cause unity to ensue. Once we are not sanctioned, we become outliers and seemingly competing with the association. We don't want that. We want to be a one table tennis family. So the sanctioning, whatever are the criteria for the sanctioning, they need to say explicitly to us, so that we can make ourselves qualify for their sanctioning. Or if it's a situation where we have to stay on the peripheral, we will just build a platform that can be an example to the rest of the table tennis fraternity.
Right, and I'd like to add to what Altiman just said, the latter part that he just said. Let's assume that to sanction you have to be an affiliate, right? Because you do have individuals that have put on tournaments, like Mega Spin. I think it was held at YMCA back in the day. I wasn't in Jamaica at the time, but let's assume okay, you have to be a club and an affiliate to get a sanctioned tournament. That is why when we approached our sponsor, we went through CASATA. CASATA we asked them to come on board to partner with us on that, and then they approached as the official, because they are registered to approach the entity for any kind of sponsorship that's required, right? So likewise, let's assume that they said, okay, fine, we can't grant you anything because you're not an affiliate, and we don't plan to be an affiliate in order to be independent. Then we'd obviously say, okay, fine, we come under CASATA, right? Or whichever parish that we're going to be holding a tournament, then we go under that parish association, who would then go to the national body. Right. So just to clear that up, that there's no tricks in the trades going on.
All right, make that absolutely clear. That's all right. So, still hoping that the JT will see fit to sanction the tournaments that don't can be better to grow the sport and to give players ranking points so they can move forward. That's the best way to go.
Yes, that's basically it.
And some high band is tables and equipment, which
and have more open trials with the available pool of talent.
Instead of selecting just a handful of players and say the national trials.
Right.
I mean, you need to widen the pool to find the best for any kind of Jamaica to find the best talents. Because you have players who are training in as far as Westmont, Hanover, Portland,
Right.
Trelawney.
Exactly.
And they just want to be and just come to the fore.
Exactly.
So all right. And so the trials went, and I guess now the players were selected for different tournaments in the Caribbean and across. And well, we wish him all the best.
Right, and I'd like to congratulate Ryan Peters for making the senior team. I mean, he fought well. He has been playing very well at Pembroke. We have had lots of battles together. Close calls. I've won some. He has won some. So I know he has been working. I met him at JDF when he was a teenager, and he said he wanted to make it,
Right, yes.
And, on the Lothian, he got his first, national call-up and stuff like that. Went to UE and all of that. And congratulations to all the other people who made it for the various teams, including, Conor Henry, who basically came through Supersonics under my tutelage. And he's now training with the program at JC under Danny Evans and Coach Kamal and myself still. And it's good to see that he's back after a 3-year break. He's now in the under-19 team. And congratulations to Jerry Lamb. He's been coached under Dale Parham. Gary White. All of these guys, they've put in their work. So the only issue is that right now is that when it comes to the senior trials, in order to give the juniors a great opportunity, you need to widen the pool, have it a 2 day or 3 days, have it 3 times per year, and within 2 years, only the best of the best can remain on top.
All right, Mr. Altiman Henry. Yeah, man. Any closing? Anything in closing?
Well, just one point I probably would like to say. I am not too put out by the possible postponement of the AGM.
Oh, the AGM, yes.
Because I figure that if a new body should come in immediately, the whole planning for the teams towards the national, the Caribbean Championship might be a bit tight. So I think it's better to allow this administration to see that through and then have the AGM after. That's just my personal,
I mean what's current
But
happening
I
right
wish
now?
all the table tennis players well. I wish the teams well. I wish the present association well. And the aspirants, I hope they will come in and make their input if given the opportunity, all to the betterment of table tennis in Jamaica.
All right, thanks for being a part of the program, Mr. Altiman Henry there, and also thanks to our special guest in studio, Mr. Roger Mackenzie, and he's the founder of the Jamaica Table Tennis Players Association, and they're still waiting for a tournament to be sanctioned, so his players can get ranking points when they take part in tournament put on by the association. Thanks for being a part of the program, Mr. Roger Mackenzie, and also Mr. Altiman Henry, and I wish you all the best going forward.
Welcome, sir.
All right, thank
All
you.
the best for the rest of the program.
Yes, and we're hoping that table tennis will be the winner in the long run. that's the long run. So, all right, that's how we come to the end of Make We Talk Sports for today. Join us Monday, same time, same place for more inside Make We Talk Sports here on Roots FM 96.1.